There's an energy crisis in the Bahamas, and I recently wrote an article explaining why there is and how it can be fixed. I'm Nico Miller, and this article was the first in a series that I'm writing about improvements which can be made to the country. I'm an engineering student, and I'm interested in ways that the country can be improved, mostly from a technical standpoint, but also from a social one. So I write these articles in my free time, mostly about technical things like infrastructure, other things too, and you could read all of them at nicomiller.com/blog. But let's get into it. Our current system has limited solar use, aging generators which are prone to break down, a full dependence on imported fuels, and fragmented grids across the islands. The Bahamas relies almost completely on imported fuels of heavy fuel oil and diesel. The generators that we use includes the older reciprocating engines and a few of the newer dual fuel turbines, but not very many. The older ones are about 15 to 20% less efficient than the newer ones, and energy cost about 30 to 40 cents per kilowatt hours for residential use, and we import about $400 million worth of fuel, mainly from the US. 30 to 40 cents per kilowatt hours is really expensive. Now let's go on to my proposed improvements. In regards to power plants, we should gradually replace aging diesel engines with the newer dual fuel turbines that use both diesel and LNG, liquid natural gas. This is because they're more efficient, even for diesel, but especially when using LNG, liquid natural gas. We should mainly place them in New Providence and Grand Bahama, the first and second city, because that's where most of the people are, and that's probably what's going to be most of the demand that would warrant the use of LNG. And with that said, we would need to produce an LNG import terminal. Now, with regards to solar, we are completely relying on imported fossil fuels, and the issue with this is that we don't produce any fuels at all. There are some solar farms dotted across the islands and a few places with solar, such as the National Stadium, but the amount of energy produced via solar is a drop in the bucket compared to the amount produced by traditional means. We are effectively completely relying on imported fossil fuels to fuel our power systems. The issue with this is that we don't produce any kind of fuels, and we have to import all of it from different countries, which is a terrible position to be in, especially when we're a subtropical archipelago of islands, so we have a lot of sun. In a way, we produce sunshine in the same way that some countries produce oil, which is why I think that we should focus on building solar farms and getting more solar panels on homes, especially solar farms in the Family Islands because they have a lot of empty space. Solar panels obviously don't work well at night or when it's cloudy, so it wouldn't be something that would completely replace the traditional energy generation methods of diesel and heavy fuel oil. It would more be something that would make the grid more efficient. In my research, I found that Chinese solar panels have gotten so cheap, they've really decreased in prices, that it makes a lot of sense for the country to import most of the solar panels from China, or for the government to make a trade deal with the Chinese government so that we can get more solar panels. And it must also be mentioned that there's a lot of self-imposed regulations that keep us from fully embracing solar. Currently, there are limits to how many solar panels you can place on your home. If you wanted to, out of your own common sense, just place a lot of solar panels on your house, you can't do that. That's not allowed. There's a cap to how much you could put on it, which I believe the cap should be removed. And I believe that all taxes on solar panels should be removed in order to encourage its adoption and make it as cheap as possible. A microgrid is a local electricity system that can operate independently or in conjunction with a main grid, kind of like a few dotted mini grids around the islands. And the advantages for the Bahamas was that they are more resilient. They maintain power during the hurricanes or grid failures since they're kind of decentralized. It wouldn't be like knocking out the one power grid you have, then no one has power. You could integrate them with renewables, so solar and wind energy can feed directly into local grids, reduce fuel use, and they are scalable and adaptable. It's easier to scale and adapt them compared to having one central grid. The Bahamas can implement a microgrid system by partnering with experienced international energy companies to design and install the hybrid grids on each island. We wouldn't have to do it ourselves. I don't think we have the engineering expertise in the country to do that. And in my research, I found that the country of Aruba, the small island, has a really good power system. They use modern dual fuel engines, they have a lot of renewables, and electricity costs about 20 to 25 cents per kilowatt hours, which, as I said, ours is 30 to 40 cents per kilowatt hours. And I think they're a good model because they're a smaller economy than us and they have objectively a better power grid than us. So we could try to improve our grid to get it kind of like that. And that's about it. I go more in depth in the article that I wrote on my website. And if you want to, you could visit it, nicomiller.com/blog if you're interested. Yeah, that's about it. So if you like the video, like it, share it with other people. If you think it was interesting, leave a comment, follow me. I'm writing more of these styles of articles which focuses on the improvements that can be made, mostly from a technical standpoint, to the Bahamas. So if you're interested in that, follow me and I'll keep posted on my socials when I release articles like these. Hopefully next week I could get one out. So, yeah. Have a good day.